the beheading of the American journalist James Wright Foley has been confirmed as real. In fact, Rupert Murdoch's New York Post put a picture of just about to pull the knife through the guy's throat on the front page of today's newspaper. It's like a new low. Rupert Murdoch and the New York Post, of course, doing the bidding of ISIS. There is a strategy here. And, you know, we will get to Ferguson and we'll get to Mitch McConnell's plans to shut down the government and destroy the last 2 years of the Obama presidency as we go through the program. But I wanted to start with this, and I want to talk with you about this because I think that it's really important that we understand the broader context. The broader context is pretty straightforward. We taught Bin Laden and the Mujahideen how to do what is being done by ISIS. We taught them how to do this. We funded them in doing it against the Soviet Union. If you go back to 2004, November 1st, 2004, this was the week of the national elections. If I'm correct. Yeah. 2004 was the elections. 2005 was the swearing in. Yeah, this was the week of the elections. And Osama Bin Laden releases a videotape. Now, keep in mind, Bush had let Bin Laden escape. Hey, it's good to have a bad guy on the loose, right? It provides you with an opportunity for... we were talking with Tom Hayden last night on the TV, and he called this the Long War. He pointed out that the Cold War lasted across something like 15 presidential administrations or Congresses and cost us trillions of dollars, and it was the Long War. It's the war. It was the military-industrial complex's dream, is to have a long war. And President Obama has been pushing back on this idea of having a long war, the new long war being the so-called war against terror. And Obama won't use that phrase anymore because, I believe he gets it. That long wars are like, they're lousy things. Now, long wars have been used in history for a long, long time by tin pot dictators and local. Well, when I lived in Germany, when Louise and I lived in Germany, we used to go out on and just travel around the countryside, and every little hamlet has a castle. And now why would the local people build a castle for the king to live in? Because they themselves needed a place to hide when the bad guys came. Well, who were the bad guys? You'd have one king here and one king there, maybe 100, not even 100 miles apart, maybe 15 miles apart. And they would have this constant state of low-level war that would last through generations. And every now and then one of the groups would raid the other group, and all the peasants would have to run inside the castle and hide for a day or two or three or whatever. And then they'd back off. And the goal wasn't to bring down the other king. Because this was, the kings or the local lords or whatever they called themselves, they wanted to keep this thing going. Because it was a scam on the average working people, on the serfs. It was their way of saying, hey, pay some taxes, show up, provide some free labor, help build this castle. Let's expand the castle. Let's strengthen the fortifications, all this kind of stuff. It was like the Long War worked for them. So what did Osama bin Laden have to say about this in 2004? This is something every American should know. CNN did an interesting commentary, or some excerpts from this that you can find on the internet at cnn.worldnews.whatever. CNN.com. It was published on November 1st, 2004. The headline is, Bin Laden, goal is to bankrupt U.S. Because Al Jazeera had just released a full transcript of Bin Laden's speech. So let me just share with you the words of Osama bin Laden. And as you're listening to this, just consider how insanely stupid, in terms of the best thing for America, the response of George W. Bush and his administration was to 9/11. And how, had they followed the course of action that many of us were advocating at the time, which was to simply declare that bin Laden and his 5,000 buddies, at the most, in Afghanistan, were criminals, and let's go in and arrest the criminals and hold them guilty of crimes, of the crime of 9/11. And there was an absolute international consensus to do that. Had we done that, and in fact, the Taliban was willing to participate in that. And this was the same Taliban that Bush had just 6 months earlier given $30-40 million to burn the opium poppies. And they did. Poppy production dropped by 80-90%, down to a level that hadn't been seen in years. Taliban was willing to do this, just cross their palms with a little bit of cash. This is the second poorest country in the world, $2 billion a year GDP for the whole country. So anyhow, here's what bin Laden had to say. We are continuing this policy and bleeding America to the point of bankruptcy, Allah willing, and nothing is too great for Allah. We, alongside the Mujahideen, bled Russia for 10 years until it went bankrupt and was forced to withdraw in defeat. And then speaking of George Bush, he said it is easy for us to provoke and bait this administration. Now, this is where I'm saying the beheading of James Wright Foley is part of a very specific strategy. We are seeing history repeat itself here. Let's go back to 2004 and see what happened last time they did this. Osama bin Laden said, all we have to do is send 2 mujahideen to the furthest point east to raise a piece of cloth on which is written Al-Qaeda in order to make generals race there to cause America to suffer human, economic, and political losses without their achieving anything of note other than some benefits for their private corporations. He called it the bleed until bankrupt plan. His phrase. CNN reports bin Laden cited a British estimate that it cost Al-Qaeda about $500,000 to carry out the attacks of 9/11, an amount that bin Laden said paled in comparison with the costs incurred by the United States. Again, quoting bin Laden, every dollar of Al-Qaeda defeated $1 million by permission of Allah, besides the loss of a huge number of jobs. As for the economic deficit, it has reached record astronomical numbers, estimated to total more than $1 trillion. It is true that this shows that Al-Qaeda has gained, but on the other hand, it shows that the Bush administration has also gained something that anyone who looks at the size of the contracts acquired by the shady Bush administration-linked mega corporations like Halliburton and its kind will be convinced. And it all shows that the real loser is you. It is the American people and their economy. Speaking specifically of George W. Bush, he says the darkness of black gold blurred his vision and insight, and he gave priority to private interests over the public interests of America. So the war went ahead, the death toll rose, the American economy bled, and Bush became embroiled in the swamps of Iraq that threatened his future. November 2004. ISIS is saying to us now, come and get us. We dare you. How do we respond to this? How do we rationally respond to this? I will share my thoughts on that with you in a few minutes.